Program on Word Radio do not necessarily reflect those of ownership, management, or advertisers of this station.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Chris Murray Report on WURD Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, got a lot to talk about. We do have one guest today, but I'm going to today is the day I'm going to let you guys talk to me about a few things. We got a lot to cover today in the world of sports. The Olympics have started. The Olympics is fine. The U.S. team is in Tokyo, Japan. I'm trying to get one of my favorite contributors to the show, Shalise Manson-Young, to kind of talk a little bit about Naomi Osaka, who has a Netflix video that I think you ought to see, talking about her life and her situation as a young Afro-Japanese woman. And she's kind of going through her journey in life, and I think that's Jordan, you guys see this one on Naomi. It's really thought-provoking. She's young, she's trying to figure it out, and so that's one thing. She's the journey with her is that she's trying to be a young woman, and she's proud of her Japanese heritage along with her Haitian heritage, but the thing is, I think in some cases the Japanese people don't feel that she's Japanese enough. And then too, when she lived in this country, she made the comment that, that there's a difference between race and nationality, and I think she's right about that. And that leads me into a discussion I want to talk about baseball. You see in my background, I have Jackie Robinson. You like this background, and Roberto Clemente's number, and then I took a photo of that, and as a reminder that in baseball, these men were the great pioneers that pushed for both Black and Latino rights in the sport of baseball. And I was talking to one of the Philly scouts, young man, guy I always talked to from the Phillies, and we were talking about the idea of I was telling him of my idea of that, maybe Black fans ought to embrace some of the Black and Latino players despite of the obvious language barrier, because, we already embraced the Joel Embiid, who does speak English, but who is from Cameroon. And I don't mind if, I would like to see, I know there's not, we'd like to see more African-American born players in the sport of baseball. I'm probably one of the biggest advocates of it. But I also think that you should like the Fernando Tatises of the world, Gene Seguras, and the
Manny Machado's?
and the
Manny Machado.
Yeah, Manny Machado. You should also like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and all that. And I that's just me. And I believe that I just believe that we ought to we ought to embrace those players as well, in my opinion. As far as I'm concerned, we need to embrace those players. And they're brothers. They just speak Spanish. They may not speak the same language, but the same kind of culture that created. Some of those kids come up from the same types of poverty, and on some levels might be worse than young people in this country, young African American males. And as Naomi Osaka said, that we're the diaspora. There are people from Haiti, there are people from Curacao who's now playing the game. There are Black people who live in Guyana. I have neighbors downstairs from me who are from Guyana, and we talked about a lot of times that experience that we have. I mean, we share a common black experience. We share a common either longing or a commonality with our African brothers and sisters. It may not be the same culture, or may not be the exact same thing. You know, we may do line dancing as opposed to doing the salsa and whatnot, but we do have the same kinds of aspirations and things of that nature. Now, one of the things I want to talk about today, and since we have training camp in a couple of days, first of all, Jordan, you ready for football, man? You ready to knock heads, training camp, and all that?
100%.
You're 100% ready for football.
Yep.
I would be too. You know, I mean, I am ready for football, but it's just the fact that I got to bring, as a part of our obligation, to bring up social issues in sports, which is what we do on this show on a regular basis, much to the chagrin of some people who watch the show or listen to the show on the radio, or see us on Facebook. Part of what I do that you won't get on some of the other sports talk stations, I'm going to talk frankly about race or sports or just social issues in sports in general. For example, I just came across, but for the last couple of days, I have been mulling over what the NFL tends to do for players who are not vaccinated. I'm reading a report from the NFL Network. NFL Network's Tom Pelissero reported Thursday that the NFL sent a memo to its clubs stating that if a game cannot be rescheduled during the 18-week schedule due to a COVID-19 outbreak among unvaccinated players, the team with the outbreak will forfeit and be credited with a loss per their sources, from the situation. In addition, players on both teams will not be paid for the lost contest, and the team responsible for the canceled game due to unvaccinated players will cover financial losses and be subject to potential discipline from the commissioner's office. Now, what do I think of this? And since this is my show, you should care. But what do I think of this? First of all, I rarely agree with the NFL on some things, but on this one I do. Mm-hmm. Because, and I'm going to tell you why. And my thing is that I think you got the virus, right? We all got the virus, right?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't get it?
No, not to my knowledge. No, I didn't. I don't think I got it.
Okay. No, well, I'm sorry. We didn't get the. I'm sorry. Did we get the vaccine?
You talking about the vaccine? Yeah. Okay,
vaccine.
Yeah.
I did getting that mixed up.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the vaccine. Now we've all had that. I mean, the vaccine, not the virus. I'm sorry. I was just people look at me like, what? Is he nuts? No. Yeah. But the vaccine. That's what I'm saying. I got the vaccine back in April. Me and Denise and I got it. Denise got hers the day before. I got mine the next day down in Delaware City, not too far from where I live. And, my thing is this. I mean, my view on the vaccine is, man, get the vaccine. I mean, between misinformation from the Republican right and various conspiracy theories that exist in our community, and I'm being honest, I gotta be honest about that. I'm not trying to disparage the community, but let's face it, let's be honest. We have people in our community who don't necessarily, feel that they should get a vaccine, whether it's for religious reasons or for whatever other weird circumstance. And I'm critical of that. And some of you may not like how I feel about that. But I think that given how this pandemic has probably killed a lot of friends and loved ones that we all know, okay? Given how I just think it's really selfish. It's really selfish of people to not get this vaccine, knowing the havoc that this virus has wreaked in the last year. We still can barely come out. And now they have a Delta variant. They have another variant that's out. And as far as I'm concerned, with this other variant, get the shot. Now, granted, does it mean now? I've heard cases of people who got the shot and who got the shot and they got COVID, got a little COVID,
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't kill them. You know what I mean? It was just you went to the hospital, got treated, and you're out. You're fine. I'd rather have the virus than not. I mean, I'd rather have the vaccine. Girl, there you go again. I'd rather have the vaccine rather than walk around without the vaccine. I got the Johnson and Johnson, which supposedly protects us from these variants and all this other stuff. And I got the one shot that covered everything, and I'm cool with that.
Same
all
here.
right, but yeah, I mean, because I didn't want to come back and get multiple shots, but if I had to, I would have. If I had to get multiple shots, get multiple shots. But the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if the Republicans will have you believe that this is the case, but you got to get, you got to get the vaccine. I mean, and I think it's selfish, especially if you're going to be working with people. Schools are starting to open up. If your kid is going to college, and I know Bowie State is requiring that kids be vaccinated, man, get them vaccinated. I mean, my thing is, if you don't want to stay under the Zoomcast, and I'm not particularly a fan of the Zoomcast as classes mainly because people don't want to pay attention. They play PlayStation while I'm lecturing on the glories of commas and comma usage in writing. But the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, you gotta get the virus, and I hope that DeAndre Hopkins has threatened of the Arizona Cardinals, has basically threatened to retire. And I'm like this, dude, if that's what you want to do, but I think it's selfish if you're unvaccinated to put your teammates and your staffs and all that, and I think it's selfish to put them in a bad situation. It's not right. And I just think that Americans right now are in a very, very bad place. So please get this get this vaccine. Good Lord. Get the vaccine. Get this vaccine to if you want to come back out to the ballpark and feel safe, still wear a mask if you must. You should. I mean, I think the city is basically saying, the city of Philadelphia is saying that, perhaps they're going to go back to wearing masks indoors because we don't want this thing to break out again. We really don't. So that's one thing. Now, let me go through our callers. By the way, we're going to talk about anything in sports today. Eagles training camp is starting up. Are the Eagles ready for this season? Are you ready for the Eagles? The Phillies won last night, broke a three-game losing streak thanks to Zach Wheeler and timely hitting through JT Realmuto, who had a home run last night. Bryce Harper stole home. Great game, great all-around game. And by the way, in boxing last week, I think one of the Charlo brothers was fighting, did not look good at all. I'm wondering how he won that fight. The fight ended in a draw. And, if you want to talk about that fight and vent your spleen, you can't win a boxing match. I mean, he hurt this guy in the second round. And just stop throwing the right. I don't know why. Maybe y'all can explain that to me. Let me go to our calls. 215-634-8065, 1-866-361-0900. Let's start with Mark from Kensington. Mark, go ahead.
Hello?
Yes. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
What's happening?
Is this Dr. Paul's show?
No, this is not Dr. Paul's show.
Oh,
not Dr. Paul's show.
Okay, because I thought it was Dr. Paul's show, and I'm listening to him, and he was telling me he's taking calls. So I'm calling him, and I have him live, and it's not saying the same thing. Now I was confused.
Okay.
And I
if you want to talk some sports, I'm right. I'm your guy.
Well, if you want to talk sports, my favorite team is the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, who lost the Super Bowl last year. And what do you expect for the Chiefs this year?
Well, we did a whole remake over of our offensive line. And I know for a fact the only reason why we lost that game because we didn't have our 2 tackles. And I know that the next man's up plays a very important role. But the next man up in a very important game was tough for us.
Yeah, that was tough.
And that was one of the main reasons why we lost. But my main concern is we got a whole different offensive line now. And it's going to be a different game or a different year this year with Patrick Showtime Mahomes. Because y'all embarrassed that boy, and he's pissed. And I feel sorry only because he went to the Super Bowl 2 times. And wait till you see this year.
He didn't win it. Well, that happens. I mean, I think in recent years, Russell Wilson kind of went through that, although Russell Wilson could have won that one had it not been for bad play calling by Darrell Bevel, the offensive coordinator.
Yeah,
but, so, I get that. Okay, well, that's good. I'm glad to see the Chiefs will be back, and we'll see. Hopefully, there are a lot of other things that are going on. Buffalo's gotten better, Cleveland, Baltimore. A lot of teams already are poised to challenge Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC with training camp coming back. Thank you for the call, Mark. Let's go to Joseph from Massachusetts, from Boston or Cambridge, Massachusetts. Joseph, where are you in Boston?
I'm close to Boston. I go back and forth. Yeah.
Okay.
But I want to talk about our relationship and embracing the Black Hispanic players and stuff like that. It would be perfect match because the same kind of racism going in America goes on to them Spanish countries like Colombia, Dominican Republic and stuff. But it's a tricky game. You see, the power structure to be will never let us get close like we should. And they'll play once against the other. And once they got immigrants on their side, they can make an excuse for ill black treatment of black people back in the past Reconstruction, Birth of a Nation era and stuff. I'm speaking from experience now. Wherever I live, whether it was in Miami, Houston, Atlanta, I see D.C., Maryland, I see the same kind of pattern going on. The Hispanic will come. The black Hispanic, a lot of them who grew up with African Americans feel comfortable with them, like Fat Joe, the rapper. They okay, but then the other Hispanics will come. They're not too favorable to black because of languages like culture. Like my neighbor in the East End was Corona. When I graduated, I tied with most valuable player, or it could have been different awards. I can't remember how it went with Louis Del Soccer. He played basketball and he played baseball, and he was a scout from one of them teams was scouting him out. Now that neighborhood now is African American culture has disappeared. Louis Armstrong lived a block away. Malcolm X lived there. Naturally, the Hispanics going to come in, and they say it's a black and brown coalition, but it's a myth. It's no. You got to break it down. Puerto Rican will consider an immigrant group. They'll be the second largest immigrant group in America after Mexican. There's like 5 million Mexicans, and there's like 3 to 4 million Puerto Ricans. But then the Dominican come into play. Then the Colombian. It's a whole mix-up thing. Then you got Central America. They don't identify with African American, Mexican zone. So we can't just keep saying this black and brown coalition because let's be realistic. The jobs, Major League Baseball, 40 years ago, 26% of the players were African American. Now it's down to 12%. It's all about the cheap. They can get cheap players, cheap laborers to do the cleaning, do the housework, and then they'll use an excuse like, oh, they're talented, they're bricklayers and stuff. What talent you need to clean the subway station? What talent you need to clean the street? But these are who all the jobs going to Hispanic. And the same thing's taking place in baseball. So black people need to really break it down and stop simplifying it. Because those Hispanics, trust me, I know, they're not on the African-American side. They're just playing that game, the black-brown coalition. That's a myth. That was when the Puerto Ricans identified with African-American. But you got a whole bunch of Hispanic immigrants, 50 million of them. we got to rethink our whole policy about this black-brown coalition. Have a nice day. Thanks for taking my call, Chris.
No problem. Well, I mean, I don't think, and I mean, the thing is that all sides have to remember and all that is, like I say, this country is governed, the main, people come to America and they see the main thing is white supremacy. I think about the author Chimamanda and Ngozi Adichie, and in one of her essays called the conversation of the color of an awkward conversation. That's the name. I'm having my students read that. She talks about the idea that American blackness, when folks come here to this country, is like the lowest end of the totem pole. She said that she was in Brooklyn, and she tells the story of a brother said, "Well, how you doing, sister?" And how at first she felt insulted by that because, when you come into America, you don't want to be black because black folks are treated as the lowest end of the spectrum. Before we go to break, let me squeeze in Fishman of University City. Fishman, go right ahead.
Hey, how you doing this morning, brother?
I'm doing okay. Did you see the fight last week?
Say it again.
Did you see the fight, Jamal Charlo? You see Charlo fight last week?
I wasn't interested in that. And then when I heard Tony Atlas say that it was a robbery, and why doesn't referees or judges get excommunicated from their job because they don't know what they're saying? Mm-hmm. Do you agree?
I mean, some of them, like the one who scored the fight 117-111, I gotta ask, what on God's green earth was he thinking about? Because that fight was close. And watching that fight, it was one of those things, Brian Castellano fought him well. I mean, he didn't hurt him, but he scored. And Charlo kept going backwards on his feet. And I'm just sitting here, I mean, he won the last 3 rounds of the fight, but that might have been a robbery. I mean, I have to say. I mean, I think the draw might have been right, but, you could argue he lost that fight. So I'm with you on that. I mean, for some judges, they got, if everybody else is scoring that fight 115, 114, or 114, 113, and he comes up with that, I like for him to justify that. Because I certainly didn't see Charlo winning that fight 117, 111, not at all. So, no, man.
And I'll leave you with this one.
Go ahead.
Judge Adelaide Byrd. I mean, need to be sat down somewhere and are fights fixed? Are fights fixed?
Are fights fixed? I don't know. I mean, there are people who argue that, and I have no proof. I don't have any proof of that, but some people would argue that they can be fixed. I wouldn't put that past. This is boxing, can't put that past anybody. So So Fishman, what else is on your mind today?
Oh, I think he's gone now. So yeah, we can just go straight to break because we're up against.
Yeah, we gotta go to break. Okay, so you're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURD, the Chris Murray Report. Will be right back.
Support small, black, and brown-owned businesses by joining the Diverse Procurement Collaborative, a community of business leaders committed to supplier diversity. Get engaged at chamberphl.com.
The Holistic Colonoscopy. No IV sedation. Your colonoscopy is due. You don't have someone to drive you home. You don't want to drink the PrEP. You don't want to be sedated with the Michael Jackson drug propofol. Does that sound like you? Call Blake Gastroenterology at 215-849-4902. Visit the website www.jsblake.com and make your appointment today. Drive yourself home after the Holistic Colonoscopy.
What's up, Philly? It's Solomon. With so much uncertainty surrounding the upcoming school year, now is the time to take charge of your child's education and give them the tools to make learning fun and safe. Check out Commonwealth Charter Academy, which can make a difference in your child's life. Commonwealth Charter Academy, or CCA, is a K-12 public cyber charter school with nearly 20 years of experience providing a flexible, stable, online education in the comfort of your home. Enroll today at ccaeducate.me. Your child will receive 1. A world-class accredited education streamed directly into your home at no cost to you. 2. A laptop, headphones, assistance with accessing the internet, and learning materials all provided at no cost to you. 3. A safe learning environment with no bullying or security concerns. Join the nearly 2,500 students from Philly who already attend CCA. The school year begins September 8th. Enroll now at ccaeducate.me.
Tune in this Saturday from 5 to 6 p.m. for the Islam Today show with a perspective on moral guidance and Islamic principles and values.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Okay, we are back. Okay, so we talked about the NFL players refusing the COVID-19 vaccine. And we also talked a little bit about boxing last week. Brian Castano versus Jermell Charlo for the undisputed junior middleweight championship. And watching that fight last week, and this guy did not come in. Charlo did not come in the fight, in my opinion. The other guy took the fight to him, and he got out of it with a draw. Maybe next time he gets a little aggressive, because he hurt him in the second round with a good right, and then inexplicably stopped throwing that punch. So we're going to call in and talk about boxing. We're going to talk about, we talk about blacks and Latinos and all that. Now, what I was talking about with black and Latino people, I understand their cultural differences, but there is a remarkable pattern that when people come in and immigrate to this country, there's this remarkable pattern that somehow people see us at the lower end of the totem pole. Nobody wants to be associated with African Americans, which I think is shameful, and I think it's sad on one level because, there's a lot they can learn. But I think that people think that in order to move on up in America, that somehow you have to be better than African Americans, or that you see yourself, because the message that a lot of that the larger society says about black Americans is that we are low, shiftless, and whatever, which the reality is that when people been fed that misinformation, there's a tendency to say that, hey, we are at the lowest end. I mean, a lot of people don't know the history of our experience in this country, and that, to me, out of everybody in the diaspora, I think we are still, people have to remember that we are still among the most educated and the most, we may not have billions of dollars in businesses, and that the barriers that we often face are a lot more intense than anybody who's just coming in here from another part of the world. I'm not making any excuses, but I think we've done a remarkable job in this country for all the things that are happening in our community. I'm not saying we are far from being perfect, but but there was a point that when I was in college and in grad school, there was an occasion for a person from Ethiopia back in the late 80s to try to lecture me on where African Americans are at a party. And, there was a part of me, and I'm not going to lie, I wanted to punch him in the mouth for that, because you don't know anything. I mean, but there was also another part of me, and I had to say, how the heck can you lecture me on, especially if you're from Ethiopia, about what's going on with African Americans when your socialist president, Haile Mariam Mengistu, basically decided to starve out a province of your country and during the course of a civil war. and I didn't mean to say that because I don't want to sow discord between other Africans, but it kind of angered me at that point because, granted, we're not perfect in this country, black people in America, but I also think that we have done a lot to, basically try to help this country in many ways to live up to its democracy. We have contributed much to the cultural foundation of this country and the world. I mean, if you're listening to hip hop in Durban, South Africa, guess where you got that from? The streets from the South Bronx. You got it from places like South Central LA and some parts of the South. So just reminder, don't ever say, you can never say that. But at the same time, I don't want to extend any dislike towards our immigrant brothers from other parts of the diaspora, okay? Because that's not right either. Now, in the world of sports, back to where we are, the Philadelphia 76ers are trying to make a move for the draft. They got the 28th pick. I don't know what they're going to find at the 28th pick in the draft, but they're really they're looking for suitors for Ben Simmons. And by the way, speaking of the NBA, is the fact that congratulations are in order for the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks, Jordan, are the world champions. Giannis, in Game 6, came to play. He came to play in a way that some would say was reminiscent of Magic Johnson, Game 6, 1980, against the Sixers. I hate that game because I root for the Sixers. But, Giannis came through. So what did you think of Giannis? What did you think of Middleton? And what did you think of this whole series?
Honestly, Giannis was phenomenal that series. It's just like the last two games. Game 5 he had like 40 something points, and then it come the next game to get 50. And honestly, it seemed like in the beginning of the series that the Suns was going to take it. It seemed like it after getting those 2 wins at home, but then going to Milwaukee, they should have gotten Game 4. Like pretty much Game 3 was like already, it was pretty much done. But Game 4, I thought the Suns kind of choked, and then that's when like everything started to come. It started to go downhill for the Suns, honestly, because the Bucks hadn't figured out. And yeah, honestly, I thought that was a great series.
Yeah. Another thing that I saw, if I have another takeaway before I get to our callers, another takeaway that I got from this series, a lot of people came after Chris Paul.
Yeah.
And I thought it was somewhat unfair in a sense that on Christmas Day, when the season started, did you think the Phoenix Suns were going to be in the NBA Finals?
No.
I know I didn't.
No.
I'd be lying to say if I did.
Yeah. They were a phenomenal team, but I didn't think they were going to make it all the way. We all thought it was going to be the Lakers or even the Nuggets. Like, I even thought the Nuggets was probably going to give them some trouble, too. Until Jamal Murray got hurt.
Yeah, when Jamal Murray, no relation, of course.
Yeah.
I don't have, not many members of my family have basketball skills like that. Not even me. But the thing is, I thought that too. But to me, the way Giannis carried himself, Giannis is a poor free throw shooter like Ben Simmons. Mm-hmm. But unlike Ben Simmons, he worked at that game. And that's the thing that I looked at. I was like, man, and there's a couple of people I know on Facebook who don't like, who thought Joel Embiid came up short. I thought Joel Embiid played really, really, really well, playing on a torn right meniscus. I don't know if you ever, huh?
I was like, I was getting ready to say, what you mean? I mean, like, Joel Embiid could only do so much. He can't really carry the team by himself.
No, he can't. And they needed somebody else to help carry that team. And I'm just saying, but then again, social media is nuts anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, for a variety of reasons. But people on social media, half of them are just, like I said, we get, half of the people on social media, I think, are borderline idiots. But, I'm being nice. What I really said. We got Mike from Winfield on. Mike, what's happening?
Hey, stepping away from the playoffs for a second, the NIL agreements these athletes are signing, I hear Bryce Young from Alabama is going to get almost $1 million, and he's a sophomore in college.
Yeah. You have issues with that?
I got no issues with that. I mean, it's just like, wow. So, you can just like slot, if you want to start quarterback, you could say, well, we can give you $1 million if you come this way.
Mm-hmm.
In basketball, it takes even fewer players to influence in basketball.
That's true. But you know what, though? But see, here's where, and it might not have come down to this, had the NCAA had come up with a way to pay the players in a way that's fair and equitable. Like when I was in graduate school, and I'm sure there were more, and I'm sure other people listening, have you ever had work in grad school? You had a graduate assistantship. If you went to kind of a Big Ten school, or even a place like Temple, or a place like Penn State, they gave you a graduate assistantship. I got paid close to $1,000 a month. And I lived on campus housing or campus owned housing. I lived in an apartment. They gave me my own place. I didn't have to buy plates and all that. And so, and it was that amount. Everybody gets the same amount, or you can do it based on financial need. That's how they should have done it. And whatever agreements these guys get from, licensing and all that, they should get a taste of that. I mean, they got rid of Terrell Pryor, or Terrell Pryor had to leave Ohio State, or got caught up in a situation where he was making money off of his merchandise. Because if a booster gave it to him, they would have been on probation. If someone had given him that money, they would have been on probation. And so, from that standpoint, I'm not mad at the players are getting this. If this guy Bryce Young is getting money, you know what? You know how much money Nick Saban is getting? Nick Saban gets paid more in his salary than the doggone governor of Alabama. Okay,
that's true.
So
that's true.
I'm not mad at the kids because they've been exploited for so long that if he can finagle a deal, hey, he made a good business decision. I'm not mad at that because let's face it, let's go beyond the hypocrisy of amateurism. If the university is getting paid, and I told Reggie Bush, I can tell him personally, I said in a column in the Griot, I said, dude, don't give back that Heisman. No, I don't care what you did. I don't care if you signed with an agent or not. I don't care if it was against the rules. But you know what? You earned that Heisman on the field. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, you're not going to tell you're not going to tell USC to give back that money, that bowl game money, that TV money. They may give back a little bit just to say they gave something back, but they're not refunding fans any money from all that. So I'm saying that I wouldn't have given it, and I think he should be reinstated to that trophy, pure and simple, because everybody else made money off of Reggie Bush. Everybody else. I mean, heck, EA Sports made a lot of money off of Reggie Bush.
Yep.
They made lots of money because I gave up some of that. I spent that $50 for that game because I played PlayStation. I gave that money because, like I say, I am a gamer. I play against the computer. I couldn't beat Jordan or some of these kids. Like I see the Roots Cricket playing Madden and stuff. I couldn't beat them. They kids know all these little twists and turns on these things. I just rather play straight conventional football. Now, not these kids kill me. These kids would absolutely kick my butt in those games. Yeah. But I just like it because I'm a football fan. I'm a football junkie. I see myself matching against going up against Nick Saban or some of these coaches in college football. How can I beat Alabama's defense if I call corner routes and all that? Those work on that game. That, by the way, those things. So But what I'm saying is, at a larger level, Reggie Bush's face was plastered all over that. I think it was in the 2006 version of that, and he should get duly compensated because they used his image, and that's why you had the Ed O'Bannon suit, and you had, because the kids were basically saying, look, and you go to any university, and I mean, you can buy the jersey. When Len Bias was, God rest his soul, was still alive and playing, they sold his jersey at the student bookstore. Okay, they sold a lot of jerseys of all these players. So, and Boomer Esiason, when I was at Maryland, you know, same thing. You know, they sold that jersey number 7. They didn't put the name on it, but you knew it was Boomer Esiason.
Right.
So
right.
you knew who that was. So no, I'm with you. I mean, I'm not mad at the players getting that money. I mean, you know what? You may not make it to the NFL. Let's think about that. You may not make it. You might save that money for either finishing your degree or going to graduate school like Jalen Hurts did. You know, get your get your master's degree, and you know, and then you can you know, and not take a hit and make money. Go to med school, you know, like Robert Smith did. I mean, I'm not mad, because that might help the players, because none of y'all are going, not all of y'all are going to the pros and whatnot. You know, you're not going to do that because it's hard to make it. So thank you very much for the call, Mike. I appreciate it. I got to move on to my man Woody, also from Winfield. I must be popular in Winfield these days. Am I popular in Winfield, Woody?
Well, Winfield is a special place, especially when you know where Woody's Barbershop's at, because everybody from Winfield can attribute to the history that lies in these doors, and I really love it, because I've met so many people, wonderful people, and through these years that have had a lot to do with building the city of Philadelphia and making it what it is today. We just have to focus on our streets. So when you were mentioning the information pertaining to how other blacks from different cultures see the blacks here, and sometimes we differ because we don't understand one another's cultures well enough. And so my thought was, the guy called in today and talked about the issue of dealing with this issue of he's talking to Dr. Paul, and Dr. Paul's program was on. You remember the gentleman that called you about Dr. Paul? And he thought he had called the wrong place. But see, everything happens for a reason and a purpose. You got Jordan there. Excellent young man. Even though he's a genius on the computer, he never looks down at people who may not have as much knowledge as he does. He was raised well, I can tell that. And it's a beautiful thing. So I'm saying this to you. Dr. Paul's father was in the Negro League. The big Negro Baseball League. I think the history of us as the children of former chattel slaves, the only non-immigrants in the nation, need to be identified. And one of the things Chris Murray could do on his show, maybe a segment, could be dedicated to those brothers that played in the Negro League. You see what I'm saying? To show what we had to go through to get to where we were. Now, Jackie Robinson, he died, I believe, in the age of 50-something or 51 or 2, something like that. It's a pretty early time to die, but he did a lot of work because he knew it needed to be done. Now, Chris, you're in a great situation with the sports things because, you know, it really, people want and love sports. They want to talk about it. But I think that segment, if you could put something like that together with Dr. Paul, just you don't have to, you know, just ask him about his dad, and he would be able to connect with those others. But it popped in my head when the so-called mistake occurred when he talked about Dr. Paul. It's just a Dr. Paul show. So I'm calling in now because everything has a universal law, and nothing happens for nothing. Everything has a reason, a purpose for happening in the first place. So just a thought.
Right. No, that's a good thought. I mean, and the thing is, we talked about it, and I've been, I guess, Paul, you know, I keep misplacing Dr. Paul's card. But the thing is, yeah, I mean, I would like to do that, especially maybe next year or maybe even throughout the summer, because there's a couple of anniversaries that are coming up. This is the 50th anniversary of Roberto Clemente helping the Pirates win the World Series. And I think there was a part of that year where they had a mostly black, not a mostly all-black starting lineup, and, you know, on the field. And I would like to just talk about it, like, you know, just talk about Negro League baseball, because, I mean, I know Bob Kendrick in Kansas City. I was honored by the Negro League Baseball Museum back in 2009. And so And so
congratulations, by the way, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was when I was at the Philadelphia Tribune.
Wow.
And they made me their baseball writer of the year because I think it was more or less because I cover baseball. I still cover baseball to this day, and I still watch the sport. And I have a lot of issues about why for some reason in black pop culture now baseball is all of a sudden baseball is boring, stuff like that,
But you see how this could help, Chris, break the ignorance up for all the other cultures that are coming here, because people are coming here from all over the globe, to live as citizens here. So we have to identify who we are. We're the only non-immigrants, children of former chattel slaves, but the work that we had to do after 400 years of chattel slavery can't be dismissed. We need to identify.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I got to go to break because I got to get in. I got to get one more call. But I thank you. No, but Woody, you're right. And I'm coming to your barbershop. On one Saturday after the show, I'm coming to your barbershop. When you least yeah. And I might even have you do a work over my bald head and everything.
Not a problem.
Down there, I gotta get the dome polished a little bit.
I'll see you, man.
All right. So, but when we come back, we're gonna bring back Jacob of Albany, and and the whole talk about and continue this conversation. Listen to 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURD, the Chris Murray Report. We'll be right back.
Do you have what it tastes to solve Her's Flavor Mix Mystery? One chip, 3 classic Her's flavors, thousands of possible combinations. Pick up a bag of Her's Flavor Mix Mystery and make your guess online today. Your guess could win you $10,000 and a year's supply of Her's. Visit Her's on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for more info on how to enter. Solve the mystery. Break out the Her's. No purchase necessary. Legal residents of the 50 United States, DC, 18 years of age and older. Ends 8/31/21. To enter and for official rules, including odds and prize descriptions, visit campaign.rtm.com/Her's Flavor Mix Mystery / void where prohibited.
For the past 10 years, Comcast has been helping students get ready. We've connected 5 million students from low-income families to low-cost, high-speed internet. We're working with both nonprofit partners and city leaders to create over 1,000 Wi-Fi connected lift zones in community centers nationwide. And now we're committing $1 billion to reach 50 million people with the connectivity, skills, training, and the resources they need to succeed in a digital world. Learn more at comcast.com/education.
So many times we say to ourselves, I need to make a difference. Well, your chance is here. Center in the Park is holding a virtual volunteer event Friday, August 6, 2021 from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Advocate for those who can't, support those who can, and ensure all long-term care residents live with dignity and respect. Register for this Ombudsman event at info@centerinthepark.org. We all feel better when we do something that matters and when we do something with purpose.
You know that feeling? Like every door is closing and you just can't see a way out? Being unemployed, underemployed, or just out of school can feel like that. But when you find the right tools, suddenly everything just clicks. FindSomethingNew.org offers resources that help develop new skills. Skills that can position you for careers in today's growing industries, from healthcare and manufacturing to cybersecurity and alternative energy. Find your path to a new career at FindSomethingNew.org. A message from the Ad Council.
Stand with WURD Radio, the only black-owned talk radio station in Pennsylvania. Did you know you can join the 4WURD movement and amplify voices of the black community as a digital member for as low as $5 per month? Visit membership at wordradio.com or call 215-425-7875. We need you. Show your support. Start or renew your 4WURD membership today. You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Okay, we are back, and the time is now 11:50, and the temperature is 82 degrees in the city of brotherly love. This time and temperature check is sponsored by SEPTA, from safe to seamless, convenient to contactless, and local to express. SEPTA is the Philly way to go. Plan your trip at iSEPTAphilly.com. Okay, that's iSEPTAphilly.com. We have on the phone with us is Jacob from Albany. Jacob, how are you, sir?
peace be unto you, Dr. Paul. No, I know I got Dr. Chris. I just didn't heard Dr. Paul's name.
He is a better-looking guy than me, but, I have to give him that.
But he ain't Dr. Chris on them sports, And, as the Olympics are starting, wasn't the Romans instrumental in the first Olympiads and stuff like that? The Roman Empire, right?
Well, I think maybe goes back to the Greeks and all that stuff, like the whole marathon thing, I think happened, the whole marathon thing happened during the Greek times, and they used to, they had wrestling, it goes back, and then Baron Pierre de Coubertin, I think, brought back the modern Olympic Games in 1896. So it's been around, and it's starting to come back. But so what do you think of they say this is the most diverse U.S. Olympic team, and that, I was watching this morning volleyball versus the men's volleyball, France versus the United States. And it's like the French had more brothers on that team than the Americans. And, I call people from the diaspora brothers, whether they're from the Dominican Republic or they live in France or England and all that. But I just think, so what are your thoughts on this Olympics? What are you hoping to look for? Because I'm trying to watch track and field and boxing, of course, basketball. Although I'm not going to be mad the U.S. team doesn't win. We always win. Let somebody else win sometime. But what do you get from that?
Well, I'm getting really, that's why I was talking about the sports thing, right? It shows that it gives, and this is a world thing, they're coming from, I think, from everywhere but North Korea this year, right? But, the beauty of humankind and the differences in humankind, but yet that excellence at a certain thing. That's the beauty I see in that. You spoke about the Greeks. Now, look, the NBA, it was a lot of white folks cheering for what the brother they call the Greek Freak, right? That's, the name they gave him, right? His nickname, the Greek Freak. I can't pronounce his other name. I'd have to really study that. But anyway, we know who we talk about.
You talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo? You can't pronounce Giannis Antetokounmpo?
Well, Giannis, I got to remember that. See, I'm a senior citizen now. All these big names, I can't be trying to put in my head. This one Matumbo, this one Takalumbo. No, I can't do all that. But we know who we talking about. But bottom line, wasn't a lot of white folks cheering in Greece and in America cheering for that man, not because of his skin color, but because of the way his hustle, his play, his going after what he wants, right? That's that human spirit that's in the human family that's got our billionaires taking little trips to space when they get ready, right? That's something different. But the bottom line is, look, I love what I see because that's what the world, this blue marble, we all on this one blue. That's one thing they saw when they went up, that all of us have this blue marble to share. So says the Creator. But, and we're going to do that. That's what it's going to come to. But look, the Sixers didn't make it. But I was looking for, I wanted Chris Paul, they were saying about his age and everything. So I was trying to go with him. But looked like them other guys, young boys, took it. So that's the way. But now my question to you, Hurts, Eagles quarterback. Okay. And are they treating him right or are they disrespecting him? Because they used him this last part, the last season there, and looked like he was, doing pretty good, even when he was snatched that game. And I don't know what that was about, but the bottom line, are they respecting him to you? I mean, are they bringing in people that would, to try to overshadow him? What do you see in that?
Well, what I see in that is what the players like Brandon Graham and them have told me during press conferences that I've attended, is that there's a heck of a lot of respect in the locker room because of this guy's work ethic. I mean, this is a guy comes in, works his butt off. The question that a lot of people, and you should be skeptical, they want to know if he can really be a good passer because the knock against him, he only completed 52% of his passes, but there were a lot of other factors going on. I mean, here you're throwing a young kid fresh out of college to the Wolves. But the thing about it, what the players have said and what the coaches have said, that this guy is a leader. He works hard and all these other things. He knows the offense, and he's one of those guys. And what I've learned about Jalen Hurts from the past, different articles and, you know, everything that people say about him is that he has a great work ethic. I mean, here's a guy who got demoted as a starting quarterback, never pouted, never got upset, worked on, and when he was called on to play, he played well. I mean, he helped when Tua Tagovailoa, that's one of those big numbers you don't want to say, when he got hurt in the Southeastern Conference championship game, here comes Hurts off the field and he wins the game. Hurts then had to learn another system at the University of Oklahoma, led them to the college football playoff. I mean, he was in that thing all 4 years of his career on the field. And so when I look at this kid, you know, the work, will he have the arm strength to complete difficult passes? Will he have the smarts to really read, NFL, which I think he does, because I don't want to question that, because a lot of times the first thing when black quarterbacks come up, you know, they get questioned about whether or not they can read a defense, and we gotta go to break. But the thing is just that, you know, they question it. And when I come back from the break, and I want to thank you for the call. I'm going to talk about what you said about the Olympics and the spirit of brotherhood, because there's some views I have on that, and when we come back. So you're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM WURD. The Chris Murray Report will be right back.
Support small, black, and brown-owned businesses by joining the Diverse Procurement Collaborative, a community of business leaders committed to supplier diversity. Get engaged at chamberphl.com.
What's up, Philly? It's Sincerely Sarita. With so much uncertainty surrounding the upcoming school year, now is the time to take charge of your child's education and give them the tools to make learning fun and safe. Check out Commonwealth Charter Academy, which can make a difference in your child's life. Commonwealth Charter Academy, or CCA, is a K-12 public cyber charter school with nearly 20 years of experience providing a flexible, stable, online education in the comfort of your home. Enroll today at ccaeducate.me. Your child will receive 1. A world-class accredited education streamed directly into your home at no cost to you. 2. A laptop, headphones, assistance with accessing the internet, and learning materials, all provided at no cost to you. 3. A safe learning environment with no bullying or security concerns. Join the nearly 2,500 students from Philly who already attend CCA. The school year begins September 8th. Enroll now at ccaeducate.me.
Between family dinners, bedtime stories, and study sessions, Pico knows that life never stops moving. So if your energy bills are adding up, Pico has programs available, like new payment options, flexible billing, and financial assistance to help you manage your bills and your budget for the essential energy you and your family need. Learn how Pico can help keep your life moving with payment arrangements. See if you qualify at pico.com/help.
Join WURD Radio for the 10th Annual Black Star Film Festival, happening online and in person August 4th through August 8th. Enjoy over 80 films from around the world, as well as panel discussions and a daily morning show, virtually at blackstarfest.org. In Philadelphia, join us in person for free nightly screenings at Eakins Oval, August 3rd through 7th, opening and closing parties, and an all-day series at the Man on Sunday, August 8th, concluding with a screening of HBO Max's Eyes on the Prize, Hallowed Ground. Black Star is the premier film festival highlighting Black, Brown, and Indigenous artists. For tickets and information, visit blackstarfest.org/festival. WURD Radio is a proud media partner for the 2021 Black Star Film Festival. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Independent Black Media. You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, Independent Black Media.
Okay, we are back. But before we get to the rest of our show, we have this summer is the perfect time to come out and come up. If you're looking for a new job, you've got to check out our new livelihood job portal. Some of Philadelphia's top companies want you, our WURD listeners to apply. To apply. We've got jobs in marketing, customer service tech, and more. Go to the Livelihood Job Portal right now to check out our jobs and apply at WURDworks.com. That's WURDworks.com and click jobs. Okay. All right, we are back. A couple of things I want to say about the Olympics that people say they don't want politics in the Olympics. Well, I hate to say this, and Jordan, I hate to tell people this, but I got to tell them, is that by the fact that we divided the athletes into their countries, you've already made it political, okay? Going back to the Hitler Games in 1936, and the fact that Avery Brundage, the late Avery Brundage and them back in the day actually had that Olympics in Berlin in 1936 so that Hitler can put on a propaganda show and, of course, hide the fact that they were in the process of murdering 6 million Jews. Politics has always been there. And if it were up to me, if I were king of all things, and I'm not, I would say, eliminate national boundaries. Eliminate, like I say again, if it's all about sport, ideally, I know that's impossible to do, but if it's really about sport, why not get together like the NBA? Why not get together? Okay, so let's get Djokovic, LeBron, we'll get a couple of guys from Europe and a couple of guys from, just let them all get together. Yeah, get some people, if in other words, like the brothers from this country, maybe get a couple of Jamaican guys on a relay team, and and have like the Chris Murray team that I would sponsor if I were a millionaire. And I'm not, but but I'm just saying that if we want to promote common brotherhood, how about we choose up sides like we used to do in the street yard? Okay, I'll take Slim from Russia. I'll take my man Alejandro Casanya from Cuba, who was an actual hurdle runner, and his name was Alejandro Casanya. Or I take give me Skeets Nehemiah, or give me this guy, or give me Edwin Moses. But I'll trade Edwin Moses for Guy Drew of France from back in the day running track. I mean, I'm just saying, like for example, of course, Jordan, no one would pick us and whatnot. No one would pick us on the team and whatnot. But I'm just saying that why not do that if you want to? If the games are for brotherhood, that we learn to not just stay in our own country. And not to stay, we might learn something from it. What human beings I think are afraid of, even the most ardent of racists, even on black, whether black, white, or whatever, is the fact that we might learn that, we may have something in common with that cat over there, with that person in Northeast Philly. That guy in Northeast Philly might like the same cheesesteak you like, or might like the same type of young lady friends that he might have. I'm trying not to be, you might have the same. You might actually find out that you love your mother just as much as that guy loves his mother. That's what human beings are really afraid of. Yep. We're more afraid of our commonality than and that's why we play up our differences. That's why it's easy to play up differences, man. I mean, because we have to keep that fear going for whatever reason. But I'm just speaking of me in more of a prophetic mode, I guess. I don't know. I'm just speaking. But like I'm saying, and they still wouldn't pick me or Jordan for any of these teams. But the thing, now they wanted me for the hamburger eating contest. Of course, I would have to use my performance enhancing drug, marijuana, because that will help me do is eat. But the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, that's my twisted view of the Olympics. We have Mike from Ohio with us. Mike, how are you?
Hey, Chris, how you doing, man? I have a
doing okay.
Good. I have a very important point, but I'm going to just go Olympics really quick. First of all, salute And congratulations to Maria Taylor. This is going to be covering the Olympics. So, really, really happy for that sister and the nonsense
I am
just
too.
went through. So, yeah, salute to that sister. Allison Felix, salute. She has her own sneaker. Salute to that sister. Salute to Sha'Carri Richardson, even though they did what they did. Still major salute to her. And on the Olympic topic, last but not least, the United States is going to get their butt kicked by our sisters, the Jamaican team, for what they did to Sha'Carri. So it's all good. It's all good. They stopped that sister, but our Jamaican sisters will take up the slack and put the beat down on every single body. Now, let me just move real quick because I know you got a lot of callers. Chris, Jalen Hurts, you, and I'm saying you, and every black person in Philadelphia that has access to a mic talking about black people, you support our brother there, okay? Because I see a lot of black people jumping in front of the mic talking about brothers shooting and killings and all that in Philadelphia. And this young brother is being assaulted by the media, and he needs our support and our back, and we need to be bigging that brother up, and not only bigging that brother up, just maybe, if we show that brother some tremendous, tremendous love, maybe that brother will have an opportunity to come into our neighborhoods and rub some of that black magic manhood off on our brothers there. So it ain't no debate about his skills and this and that. If people haven't seen that this generation of young black men and women are magic, special, beating the hell out of the odds, don't care, unapologetic, then you're stuck in your generation. That's a bad, bad young brother, not only from a physical skill set, mental skill set, but he's also fighting against the monster of the corporate mass media who continues to throw shade. Don't throw no shade at that brother, Chris. When you get down there, grab that brother up. You're all here like me. Grab that brother up, protect him, be down there smacking and sliding them jokers who are trying to put him down and assault him. I want to see you, the brother, the old head, down there protecting our brother, building that brother up, talking about how intelligent he made this play, how he looks this way, how physical he's doing, how great he's doing, representing himself as a really, really positive, good black man for young black men in Philadelphia and young black men in this country, in this neighborhood. Please do that, my good brother, okay?
Okay.
All right. That's a little slow, so I'm not sure if you're going to do it, but it's okay. If I get my chance in Philadelphia, and I will be there shortly, I'll do what I can for that young brother. Anyway, much love. Peace and blessings, brother.
Mikey, thank you for the call. Now, let me say something. Let me say something to that effect. I'm a journalist, and it's something that I take very seriously. I'm going to cover it as I always have covered it. I will be fair. That's the one thing I can assure you, that I will try to be fair. Now, if he throws 3 interceptions in a game, got to talk about it. You got to say, hey, look, dude, you struggled. And that's the only way I know how to be. As I got to be honest, it ain't racial. I'm not going to be like, oh, man, he just doesn't have the intellectual capacity. I mean, you're talking about a guy. I tried to be fair with Donovan McNabb. And a lot of people, I think a lot of people were unfair with how McNabb was treated. I feel that with even a few former hosts of this show, were really, really hard on the guy. And my thing is always to be fair. You have to be fair. That's the one thing that a journalist, a sports writer. One of the things I learned, I was at the Poynter Institute back in 2007. And one of the things you have to do in that locker room is to be fair when you're covering a team. Is that when you make your criticism, you make it fact-based, but you don't have favorites. You don't have, guys who are, hey, you're a favorite and all that. You've got to be honest, okay? And I think people will know that. I try to be at all times, to be fair and whatnot. If Donovan McNabb struggled in the game, I got to say it. I'm going to say it. If Jalen Hurts struggles this year, if he somehow is throwing 3 interceptions and completing less than 50% of his passes for whatever reason, we got to talk about it. We got to be honest. My whole thing is that I will tell you that as a journalist, we have to, we are in a situation that if we do this job honestly, and I'm not talking about screaming on hot take shows and all this other stuff. If we are doing this job honestly, we have to be fair and look at all angles. Ben Simmons, right? Ben Simmons or even the coaches, some of y'all got mad at me for saying, hey, look, give Brett Brown the benefit of the doubt. Let's see how this shakes itself out, okay? Gotta be fair with that. I mean, that's what I was taught in journalism school, is to try to be fair. And especially understanding that a lot of times the media has been racist towards African Americans and people of color. It has been. My thing at the end of the day is to be fair. People got upset at my wife for the whole how she covered the Cosby thing, but my wife did a remarkable job. Denise did a remarkable job of covering because she tries to be fair. And sometimes that fairness and that truth may not be something you want to hear.
Yep.
But I feel like this, if I wouldn't be doing my job. I'm not Jalen Hurts' PR guy. He has an agent, he has a staff at the Philadelphia Eagles. They'll be his PR guys. But I know he's a good man, he's a good young man. I'm the first one to tout that guy's virtues on this show. Okay? I said, look, this is who this young man is. He's a remarkable young man. Well coached, good guy. Okay? On the field, he may struggle a little bit. And hopefully he won't get into anything off the field. That he won't go around, doing mean things, being disparaging of women or, some other situation that he may get into. But I'm not going to do it in a way like, when Michael Vick thing came out, I was hesitant to say that, oh my God, he's guilty, because a lot of people, when that situation came out, a lot of people had him in jail. And my thing was, hold up, let's let the facts come in. And maybe it didn't give me enough clicks. It doesn't give me, I don't know how many people watch this show. I'm trying to move away or listen to this show from what you're going to hear on IP. Yes, we're going to talk sports, but my thing is I'm not always quick to fire somebody. I got to say, let the facts come as they may. Whether they're reported facts or whatever, we have to report. That's how I see this gig. I'm not trying to lampoon anybody or knock anybody down so y'all can come on the show and say, oh wow, look at what Brother Chris said about this guy. That ain't my thing. And am I going to be honest and critical of things that go on in our community? Yes. When Deshaun Jackson had those questionable comments, I'm trying to be honest. I want to be, whether you agree or disagree with me. You got to agree with me. And that's no condition. I set that as no condition of a friendship. People disagree with me all the time. People disagree with me about, whether it's the World Anti-Doping Agency rules or weed or something like that. And, I'm trying not to take those, I don't take it as a personal affront. Because I don't know everything. I'm the first one to admit that. I'm the first one to say, you know what, I don't know everything. If I say a guy's going to struggle and he does well, I'm glad that they proved me wrong, okay? I would tell somebody that, you know what, I said you were going to do this. I'm Bernard Hopkins. I said, Bernard, on numerous occasions, I picked him to lose my fights, and he told me, and he know I picked him to lose. But at the same time, I'm like this. It's not personal. I'm just the fact, and I would say to Bernard Hopkins, I said, dude, I picked against you because you are getting up there in age. I think you're one of the greatest of all time. What he did in the sport, he's one of the. As a fan, as I like the guy, I actually like him as a human being. I was hoping that he would retire because I didn't want to see him come off like a lot of other champions in the past, And I'm glad and I was happy for that. But I'm not going to, but I'm going to be fair and I'm going to be honest. I remember I heard this story before I get to BG from Germantown. Don't hold on. I still remember the story that Butch Lewis told about Ali after Ali beat Jimmy Young, and but he really lost. And basically, Butch Lewis told Ali, was honest with Ali, he said, "Dude, you look like crap in this fight." And we gotta be honest. I'm not gonna replace honesty for at the sake of, hey, I gotta cover up for a brother. We gotta be honest about these things. We're not perfect as human beings. Let me say this. And I know the racism we face, we don't want to be anything less than perfect because we get enough disparagement as it is. But I also have to say that we got to be honest too. BG from Germantown, what's happening?
Hi, how you doing, Chris?
I'm doing okay, man.
Yeah, you don't have to be apologetic, man. I mean, you're a journalist. A lot of black folks. I heard a guy call in one time to the show, and he said that he was mad at somebody because a black commentator on TV because he felt as though their job is to protect the black athlete. That's not their job. Their job is, like you said, to be objective and tell the truth. And if you're right, you're right, and if you're wrong, you're wrong. So you shouldn't be apologetic about that. Those who don't understand that, they just stupid. But I saw that Charlo fight last week. Did you see it?
I saw that fight. Disappointed in Charlo.
I thought he lost the fight. He lost that fight. I thought that. But the other guy's lucky they didn't outright steal it from him. And see, that's the problem. I hear you a lot talk about two things. Ben Simmons improving and boxing making a comeback. But boxing is never going to get to a certain status that it used to have because the corruption level is too high. Because when you see a fighter win a fight, it was a close fight, but the other guy won the fight. And, you have scores like 117 or 111 for Charlo and all. That turns people off. I watched that with my grandson. I wasn't even going to watch it, but my grandson wanted to see it. And I told him, I said, at the end of the fight, he said, "Oh, Charlo lost." I said, "No, he didn't. They're going to find a way to steal it or whatever." And, and it takes the gambling component out of it. Because guess what? I don't know nobody who will bet on boxing. Because if you pick a fighter to win and your fighter wins, but they give the decision to the other guy, that pisses you off right there.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. Like, I think back to Hearns Leonard too. Now, I'm probably one of the few people who thought that fight was legitimately a draw, only because I felt that Leonard, I think in rounds 5 and round 12, almost had, Hearns out on his feet, in my opinion. But the weird part about that, though, BG, is that if you would have told me that Hearns won, I would say, there's a great argument for it. And Leonard said Hearns won that fight. I mean,
Yeah, I thought Hearns clearly won that fight because, it's round by round. Like, you know what? Charlo had the better moments in the last fight. Like, he hurt the guy in the first round, and he hurt the guy in the, I think the 10th round. He hurt him decisively. He did the more damage, but those are just 2 rounds. If you looked at round by round who was winning the fight, because he was blocking a lot of Charlo's punches, this guy outpointed him.
Yeah. I would say so. I mean, you're right about that. But what bothered me about Charlo's strategy, it was like in retreat mode. I mean, it was just like, dude, he was kind of, I would say, somewhat like Ray Leonard in the sense that when he fought Hearns the second time, Ray kept looking for the home run ball. Yeah. And when you look for the home run ball in boxing, you're going to get hit, okay? How many times have we seen that? I mean, sometimes guys think because they got the. I mean, Deontay Wilder is a guy who looks for the home run ball, and a lot of times if the home run ball ain't there, and that guy's and he has great defense on you. And I'm gonna tell you, I always say this about Tommy Hearns, you know, and I'm gonna bring it back to this. Tommy Hearns and I thought Manny Stewart hadn't evolved to that point, because Manny Stewart evolved in his career as a trainer. He became better and better as he got older. But there was a point where I thought that the Hagler fight, he should have never have gotten into a brawl with Marvin Hagler. If he would have boxed, nobody has ever outboxed Tommy Hearns. Right? Had he gotten into a boxing match, had he sustained it against Ray Leonard in the first fight, had he boxed Marvin Hagler, I think he beats Marvin Hagler. That fight, had he decided to get on his bicycle and go, now I'm on YouTube TV, if he had gone left jab, you know, if he had done that and then throw in that powerful right, I think he knocks Hagler out. And I think, but it had to be accumulation like Ali.
I like Tommy Hearns, though, for the reason that he didn't do that. I like him. I like the hitman mentality. I like the guys who come in with that mindset of knocking the guy out. That's what made it. You know what? If he'd have did that, it wouldn't have been one of the greatest fights ever. It would have been tedious and boring. It would be like watching Mayweather. I like Tommy Hearns' mentality. I agree exactly what you said. Strategically, Tommy Hearns could outbox everybody. He outboxed Virgil Hill, Sugar Ray Leonard. He outboxed Benitez. He would have outboxed Pernell Whitaker or Mayweather. There's nobody who is a better boxer than Tommy Hearns, but he had a fighter's mentality, and that's what made him so entertaining to watch. I love watching Tommy Hearns fight. I still watch him fight on YouTube because he just had that knockout mentality, and that's entertaining to watch.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he got knocked out a couple times. I read Barkley. I mean, and the thing is, what you're saying, I do think that you make a very valid point there, because I just think that, you know, that's the thing, that's the beauty of boxing, is sometimes, like, a lot of people thought Ray Leonard was soft. I knew where Ray Leonard grew up, in that part of, like, D.C./Prince George's County. That neighborhood, and the high school he went to, you know, those kids were tough in those days. He didn't, you know, I mean, my thing is, and everybody tried to say that Ray Leonard was just soft because he went to the Olympics. Ray Leonard was no soft guy.
By no means.
I mean, that guy. You
know what? You made a great point.
I know.
You made a great point last week when you talked about Akeem Olajuwon. I forgot how, you know, raw he was and how he developed. But you know what? Giannis is very similar, because Giannis was very raw. And now, you know, you can make a case for him being the best player in the world, because what separates him from Kevin Durant is he rebounds and he defends. Kevin Durant is a more entertaining player to watch because of his shooting ability. He's a better shooter, but he's not a better overall player. But LeBron's going to come back and take the crown next year. You best believe that. Like, Giannis can say he's the best right now. But King James, when the Lakers get rid of some of them bums like Drummond and Gasol and Dennis Schroeder and upgrade a little bit, because I didn't understand the Lakers letting go of Rondo and Dwight Howard. That guy Pelinka, I think he got thinking he's a genius or something. Sometimes you don't get rid of people to help you win championships. That was stupid, and both of those guys were effective players. I never understood that move.
Yeah. Well, you same here, BG. But I gotta end this call. I gotta go to break. But thank you for the call. But you're right. Okay. Have a good week. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM WURD. The Chris Murray Report will be right back.
Hey, WURD family. Did you hear? It's official. The Colorectal Cancer Alliance just announced the new age for colon cancer screenings has been officially lowered to age 45 for everyone. If you are 45 or older, it's time to get screened. Go to WURDradio.com and click on the Go to Know banner to register for your free at-home screening test. Did you know colon cancer is largely preventable with on-time screening? And there's a 90% survival rate when caught early. African Americans are 20% more likely to get colon cancer and about 40% more likely to die from it than most other groups. So for the next 3 months, you can go to WURDradio.com and click on the Go to Know banner for your free at-home screening test. A screening navigator will contact you to ask a few questions and help you get screened. It's that simple. Again, Just go to wordradio.com, click on the Go to Know banner, and fill out the form to request your free at-home screening test. Go to Know today.
Enterprise Exterminators, located at 4943 Wayne Avenue, has been in business since 1976 and can eliminate whatever pest problems you have. Enterprise specializes in bed bugs, lanternflies, and termites. Call for your free termite inspection today. Do-it-yourself kits are available. Enterprise Exterminators, servicing Philadelphia, Delaware, and New Jersey. Call now, 215-849-7070. Ask us about the WURD and senior discounts. The Mattress Man is a second-generation family-owned mattress specialist business since 1988. Open 7 days a week, located at 7421 Stenton Avenue. The Mattress Man discounts Serta, memory foam, orthopedic, and ComfortTech mattresses every day. You deal directly with the owner, Julian, to ensure you get the best price and best service. The Mattress Man offers same-day delivery on most models to most areas. Ask about the WURD discount. Call 215-424-5550.
WURD Radio Digital Tip of the Month with Stephanie Humphrey. Brought to you by Comcast.
Using food or grocery delivery services like DoorDash, Grubhub, or Instacart proved to be a valuable lifeline for some during the pandemic. And even as the country opens up, food delivery is still very popular and shows no sign of slowing down. Here are some tips to make sure your next food or grocery delivery goes smoothly. Typically, the best time of the day to order groceries is first thing in the morning, but on most apps, you can schedule your delivery in advance, so take advantage of that feature to help avoid long wait times. Make sure you leave clear delivery instructions for your driver. Provide cross streets, landmarks, or a description of your home if necessary. And leave detailed instructions for your grocery shopper by specifying preferences in the comments in the app. If you're concerned about security within the app, use Apple Pay or PayPal as your payment method instead of storing your credit card information. And of course, make sure you tip your shopper or driver for their hard work. Stay tuned to WURD for more tips and stay connected with us at wordradio.com.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Okay, we are back. I was just reading some of the comments off of Facebook. Michael Project Urban Lifeline says to BG, black journalists protecting athletes against the racist, unfair media in teams is not stupid. The system is not fair. And he also says to me, and he also says that my wife is an excellent journalist, Denise, for certainly. Thank you for that. But he says young people in sports need to be protected. And let me say something about this. Look what happened to Sha'Carri Richardson. And as you know, Jordan, I was the one who kind of came, to her defense against, especially on social media. Mm-hmm. It's not that I'm coming to anybody's defense. I thought that the criticism of Sha'Carri Richardson by a lot of old school folks who are my age and a little bit older and some somewhat younger was more of a generational attack, like, oh, you young kids should follow rules, and it was like, okay, but she didn't do it for performance enhancing purposes. And number two, and this is something I put on my Facebook, even though that story has long been passed, people kept saying, and I heard people who I know in prominent positions say that, well, weed is used to mask PEDs. I had researched. One of the things that I always, and I attribute this to Dr. Sonia Peterson Lewis at Temple University in the African American Studies Department. I went and scoured, the internet and whatever pieces of research I could find. No one. I went to the World Doping Agency and I checked their lists of, drugs that are their diuretics to use to mask drugs. And nowhere did I see marijuana. Whoever's putting that out there, unless you can produce any scientific evidence, any scientific evidence of that, please don't say that in polite conversation without having your facts. You know what I'm saying, Jordan? Yeah. I mean, it's almost like it's like people can, weed masks. I was like, wait a minute, where? And I checked. and I checked the World Doping Agency, and the thing about it, you know, and the thing about it is just that, you know, social media does that. Social media at times, you know, like I said, we're the hot take generation, and we want the hot take. We want something that, ooh. So, and speaking of hot takes, on the line with me is my good buddy, longtime journalist, longtime NBA guy. We're going to talk a little bit about NBA, but you know, John, sometimes I like to get you in on social justice all kinds of commentary, because you definitely have an opinion on that, and so I gotta ask you, John. We just had this NBA Finals. What can Philadelphia learn in watching Giannis just dominate the finals? Especially the last two games.
Well, I think, thanks for having me on, Chris. I think the thing that we should take away from watching Giannis is, if I'm not mistaken, Giannis was drafted the same year as Nerlens Noel and a few other players. You know, I mean, we know the list of players who went ahead of him, but I think he is the example of a player who came up and developed the player personnel development. And I know somebody over there, Milt Newton, used to play for Kansas, and you know, also worked in the front office of the Washington Wizards. Now works in Milwaukee, and having spoken to Milt, Milt told me that, you know, he just works. He works. He doesn't get caught up in a lot of things that a lot of the American players get caught up in. He just put his head to the grindstone. It helps that he's genetically been able to gain 60 pounds. I won't say he's gained 60 pounds of muscle. He's just gained 60 pounds. Since he was drafted in the NBA. So physically he's developed, but he just worked at his game. And Milwaukee has done the right things in getting, you know, a player like Chris Middleton, who's clearly a star, being a star ability in this league. Drew Holiday, who, if I'm not mistaken, the 76ers traded away that year to acquire Nerlens Noel. We all know how that went. So, you know, they built around this guy, and they developed his talent. The key word being developed. And obviously he has natural talents that develop lately, because everybody, when they get drafted, is not prepackaged and ready to be an NBA superstar. And look what's come to fruition now. You know, he's a two-time MVP. He's a Defensive Player of the Year. Now he has a world championship in a small market. And you know, some people say you have to have a big three of superstars. And being a large market, see the Brooklyn Nets, see the Los Angeles Lakers, see the, you know, other teams that have tried to do it this way. Chicago Bulls, but that's an exception. That was a different era in basketball. And, you know, now he's the world champion at 26. What is he, a year older than Ben? Two years older than Ben Simmons, the guy that we are still trying to figure out. Guy who we have not developed an ability to make free throws in the 4 or 5 years he's been with the 76ers organization. So there you have it. You know, he's a combination of great genetics, great ability to play basketball, and an organization that worked with him and allowed him to develop and put the right players in place, because he looked like the best player on the planet in that Game 6. So that's what you have. I don't like to get in that argument of who the best player on the planet is, because if somebody else wins it next year, we'll be labeling that person, the leader of that team, as the best player on the planet. So that's something that changes from year to year. But yeah, that's what they have. You know, homegrown talent. Didn't build a super team in a small market. So it kind of goes against everything that we are told to anticipate in the development of an NBA world champion. It's fun to watch. He works so hard. He works on his weaknesses.
Right.
Go ahead, Chris.
And I'm sorry, you talked about player development, and I think you make a great point when you say player development, because I remember when Mikal Bridges was drafted by the Sixers, and they traded him off, and I still think that was a huge. Yeah, you're right. It was a horrible decision because, and for Zaire Smith, what did the Sixers get out of Zaire Smith?
I don't think he's still a professional basketball player anywhere. You know, he could be in the G League maybe. I don't even know where he is. You know, and here's that guy, the 3-and-D that they could have used. Mikal Bridges, he's a homegrown player. It's a horrible mistake and a series of bad mistakes they've made.
Yeah, and I think he would have developed sooner with this team. I think that Phoenix had a whole bunch of superstars, between Devin Booker and a whole lot of other guys on that team. But I thought that had he come here, he was a guy who could shoot. He was a guy who was willing to play defense. And I did not understand that. And the development of talent, we talk about Ben Simmons. Now, I try to be fair with Ben Simmons, and we all try to be as fair as possible, but Ben Simmons did not develop his game. And I kept saying that at some point, that's going to bite you in the playoffs. When you can't, and I'm noticing in every sport that I watch, that we all watch, we've been in the same, you and I have been in the same press boxes and same practices and things of that nature. When you have a weakness or a thing that you have not learned how to do, then you're going to, folks are going to expose it. One of the things, I'm just saying this in general in sports, I was watching Mike Wilbon the other day, and he talked to Bobby Wheeler from the Seattle Seahawks, and he was saying that in practice, they worked on some of the worst things that their players feared in terms of their individual abilities. I mean, whether that's, you're afraid you're going to get burned on the pass, that you're going to have to take on 2 or 3 guys. And what they did in their practices, especially during that Super Bowl run, they worked on those things. And I think that, it's something that I wish they would have done with Ben Simmons. That was his weakest thing. And it's one of those things, it was one of those things where I just, it's just one of those things where I just feel like you got to work on your game. You got to work on every aspect. And the fact that he was stubborn about that, stubborn and to the point of belligerence, that bothered me. And when it comes back to haunt you in a playoff series, that bothers me. I mean, you either got to improve or they're going to move you out of here. So that was the thing. I mean, I looked at Giannis. Giannis wasn't a good free throw shooter. Am I right? I mean, he wasn't a good free throw shooter.
No, mediocre.
Yeah. But yet he kept working at it. He tried to get better. Wilt Chamberlain wasn't a good free throw shooter, but he worked on it 1 year, and I think he became one of the better free throw shooters within a year. I mean, my thing at the end of the day is, we talked about Olajuwon last week. Improve, get better, because I've seen it in basketball. I will tell you this: people may not know this, but freshman year when Jordan and I don't know if you remember Adrian Branch out of Maryland went to DeMatha. There was an argument that Adrian Branch had a better freshman season than Jordan. That was a good argument. And it was either one of them, it went to Jordan, but, people argued that it went either way. And you know what? Jordan developed this game. I think Adrian Branch did, but not to the degree that Jordan did. Jordan became a superstar.
Right.
Adrian Branch is in broadcasting now, and I like AB. AB is one of my favorite Maryland guys. But same thing with Len Bias. Len Bias was kind of raw, but he improved his game. And and one more, Chris Paul. I remember when who is this guy? John. Oh my God, I'm having a senior moment where there was a guy freshman year at Maryland who was supposed to be John Gilchrist. This guy Gilchrist was supposed to be better than, and I'll play Chris Paul in the 2004 ACC tournament. Who's a superstar now? Chris Paul worked on this game. You know, they said Gilchrist got so big-headed, he forgot to develop his game and fell out of favor with Gary Williams. And so you got to work on your game. Nobody's going to be a superstar. It's simple.
Yeah, that's where that's where 76ers, well, they once you get to the professional level, you have to do it quicker. You know, if you're the number one pick in the draft, and as Ben obviously worked on his defense. He became a better defensive player. To the point where some people say he's the best defensive player in the league. But he's got to be taking those jump shots now. If you're going to want to play the point guard, you have to develop some threat of a jump shot. You just can't bring the ball up into the front court and then throw it out to the perimeter instead of screen or pick or whatever, like Ben does now. You know, he's completely figured out. I mean, Ben comes down now, I kept waiting to see something different. He comes down and then he gets rid of the ball, and then he parks over on the weak side, and he's walled off. So he doesn't become an effective rebounder. He's usually behind two players on the weak side, walled off from the basket. And that's why I mentioned player personnel development early on. The Sixers have to say, enough is enough. You can't prohibit Ben from going to Wimbledon like he did and popping up on Instagram. But you have to say, listen, you know what? We awarded you with a $180 million contract, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in that neighborhood, 130, whatever it was. You got to work with us, and you have got to make free throws. We can't have a situation where we're playing 4-on-5 offensively. And now I just don't know, is it irretrievable? And, is this how you want to see yet another top pick in the draft by the Philadelphia 76ers? I'm referring to Markelle Fultz. It just not only doesn't work, but just collapses on you, where you may wind up trading him for lesser talent because, Ben still is a three-time All-Star. But at this point in his development, it's between his ears, and he has to make a decision, and he has to decide, because if he comes back to Philadelphia and is still a liability and won't take shots, you know how this city's going to react. And I think, in fairness to Philadelphia, it's not just Philadelphia. I think most cities, after seeing him in that game refuse to dunk the ball and passing the ball to Thibault, that's going to leave a bad taste in your mouth, because you've been dunking the ball all season in that situation. But now, and in the crucible, you're afraid to shoot the basketball. And that's what Ben Simmons is now. So I don't know how much he's willing to work this summer. But he's got to put in the work, because they may not be able to trade him. And if you do trade him, you don't want to get fleeced. I just saw somewhere that I guess Bradley Beal is expected to, or is believed that he might ask for a trade around draft time. But we have to consider, in Philly, we've been calling Ben garbage now for the last 3 weeks now, 3.5, 4 weeks. Who's going to just want to come and take our garbage off our hands just to help Philadelphia? It doesn't work that way. So that's where we are.
John, I got to go to break, but hold that thought. I got to go to break. Okay. We got to basically, I want you to finish that thought when we come back. You're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURD. The Chris Murray Report will be right back.
Students, parents, teachers, guardians, 100 Black Men of Philadelphia is offering free mentoring programs this summer to help provide an alternative to the gun violence plaguing our city. Our programs build character, body, and mind of our boys 1st to 12th grade through paid high school internships, book clubs, fishing, physical fitness, and more. Register today at www.100blackmenphilly.org and click events, or call 267-258-2900.
For the past 10 years, Comcast has been helping students get ready. We've connected 5 million students from low-income families to low-cost, high-speed internet. We're working with both nonprofit partners and city leaders to create over 1,000 Wi-Fi connected lift zones in community centers nationwide. And now we're committing $1 billion to reach 50 million people with the connectivity, skills, training, and the resources they need to succeed in a digital world. Learn more at comcast.com/education.
What's up, Philly? It's Solomon. With so much uncertainty surrounding the upcoming school year, now is the time to take charge of your child's education and give them the tools to make learning fun and safe. Check out Commonwealth Charter Academy, which can make a difference in your child's life. Commonwealth Charter Academy, or CCA, is a K-12 public cyber charter school with nearly 20 years of experience providing a flexible, stable, online education in the comfort of your home. Enroll today at ccaeducate.me. Your child will receive 1. A world-class accredited education streamed directly into your home at no cost to you. 2. A laptop, headphones, assistance with accessing the internet, and learning materials all provided at no cost to you. 3. A safe learning environment with no bullying or security concerns. Join the nearly 2,500 students from Philly who already attend CCA. The school year begins September 8th. Enroll now at ccaeducate.me.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. A My Social Security account allows you to access your earnings history and benefits information, request a replacement Social Security card, get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Want the latest in Word swag? Check out the shop tab on WURDradio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on WURDradio.com. Show the world that you're all about black. Talk media. You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Independent black media.
Okay, we're back. All right, now, John, I wanted you to continue that thought about Ben Simmons, because I think that, I think what the fans are looking for, they either want him out of here, but the dilemma to that is, who are you going to get for him?
I think you have to be careful what you ask for. I mean, you can't ignore the fact that whether you like Ben Simmons or not, they did have the best record in the Eastern Conference. It's just that a fatal flaw of his was exposed. Washington started doing it with the hacker Ben, and then Atlanta did it relentlessly. But by the same token, there's plenty of blame to go around because they did lose 28-point and 20-point lead, which is inexcusable. Obviously that goes on the entire organization. But the saying is it's easier to fix. I guess it's like to fix young men than it is to fix broken adults. Ben's game is still in the young stage. It's just that now he has to make that jump where he is fixed as a free throw shooter. He's never going to have a 3-point shot. Let's get that. But he should be able to develop a 10 to 12-foot jumper that he's respectable with. And now is the summer to do it, because if you don't unload him, and the 76ers have to be looking at it this way, say, well, what if we can't unload Ben? What if we can't get Dame Dollar for him, which you probably can. You'd have to give up a whole lot more.
Right.
For Ben Simmons. So you have to figure out what can we do with this guy who is an elite defender. He's an elite passer. He does create more 3-point opportunities and shots than any player in the league. So he does a whole lot of things at an extraordinarily high level. But he does two things that he's abysmal at. One of them is his confidence, and the other thing is his ability to make shots. To make shots away from out of the paint. And unfortunately for Ben, this is a league that has moved away from the paint, so he's got to start making shots. So they have to say, look, okay, you built this $17 million house. Basically, we built it because we paid you that money. And, now, live up to your contract. And he has to have some pride and say, because he looks to me like a guy who can improve his free throw shooting. Some of these big guys, Wilt, Shaq, they did so much on the interior on the interior in a game that was different than the game that they're playing now, that you could overlook some of those shortcomings. But you can't overlook those shortcomings when it's like, okay, where the game is tied 79-79 in the final 5 minutes of the game, and every time your point guard touches the ball, we're going to foul him regardless, because we know that he's not going to produce 2 points, let alone a three-pointer, and we can take away the opportunities of your team to make those baskets. So, you know, he just got to work on it, you know, because I don't know if they're going to be able to move him, and you don't want to get fleeced. You don't want to get fleeced, and that's what they're in danger of doing if they move him. Now, once, you know, Daryl Morey has been very good at making deals. So, you know, and you know he's going to look under every stone to make a deal.
Right.
But what if he can't make it? I mean, let's be quite honest. You know, those general managers were looking at the same thing we were looking at, you know, about a month ago. They were looking at the same futility of Ben Simmons that we were watching. And it's their job not to make terrible decisions. Add a guy who's got $140 million in salary left on his contract, who is an offensive liability who can't be on the court in the fourth quarter. That's what he is right now. That's what Ben Simmons is. You know, happy birthday. He just turned 25, and he's known right now as a guy with sinking value in the NBA who has an elite player's contract. So it's hard to move that.
Yeah, no. There's no doubt about that, and that because I'm with you on that. I don't think they're going to move him. To be honest with you, unless they got a deal a la Minnesota Vikings for Herschel Walker or something like that. Right. Unless they get something, that magnanimous, and I use that. I don't know why I use that term, but the thing is, if they get something like that, then I can see it. But I really don't think they're going to move him. I mean, a lot of people want him out of town. A lot of my listeners, I talk to some of my friends around town. I don't think they're going to move him. I mean, how? I mean, some people say they should, and perhaps they should, but you got to, but Dame Lillard is going to come. They're going to, Portland is going to want probably Thibault and some others, maybe even Joel Embiid. But no, right. I mean, you're not going to give up the house, because I think the Sixers, to be honest, and if we're honest with ourselves, they are one, in my opinion, they're one piece away. They are, they're about maybe a piece or two away. They're not far from being, or their Ben Simmons' shooting ability and free throws away. Let me say that. They are Ben Simmons hitting a open jumper and a 15-footer and maybe shooting 75 to 80% from the free throw line from being a great team. I mean, do you agree with that?
No, I do. I look at some of the rotation players. You look at Maxey, you look at Thibault, and they're players who are young, who have a nice runway in front of them to get better. They lost because of a fatal flaw. They lost because of a fatal flaw that we're not used to seeing in teams. I know people were critical of Tobias, and I was critical of him myself. Tobias faded in the special game, but I do think that, as we saw in the Doc Rivers, Tobias' game, he's still an unfinished product, and he's capable of getting better. Quite honestly, I thought that, I know the statistics will say that I'm wrong, but I would still like to see Joel Embiid late in games, and I'll give him somewhat of a pass because of the torn meniscus this year, but I would like to see him set up and get deep posts and repost at times. You never see that from him, although
no.
His skill level is, for a man his size, is unparalleled right now. There's nobody else who can do it, what he does. But there's sometimes, and I know the NBA has moved away from the rim, but there's sometimes when you have a decided advantage in what you're equipped to do, and I kind of refer him to I compare him to the Baltimore Ravens. They're built to run the ball, so they can make up for some of Lamar's passing deficiencies. Joel Embiid is built to take people in the pace in the post and get and one and make 17 to 20 trips to the line, and that's therefore controls the tempo of a game. All those things he can do, and he shied away from doing that late in the game, late in those games. But again, I'm giving him a pass this year because he improved so much of his game, and he had a torn meniscus. He had a minor meniscus there. So
yeah,
you have to play.
Yeah, I got you on that. Unfortunately, we are at the end, man. I mean, good Lord, this conversation was getting great. Okay. But no, I'm going to say this before we can clock out of here. John, you made some really valid points. And with respect to Tobias Harris, I thought Tobias Harris had a great season. It's just that I think in that game 7, he was trying too hard. He still scored 24 points, but he missed a lot. I mean, you can see a guy that was trying hard. So we'll see. We're not going to.
They were forced to play 4-on-5 because of Ben. When you're forced to play 4-on-5 at that level, it's not. It's a whole different. It's a whole different animal. Some things can't be compensated.
That's true.
Yep.
That's true. Well, like I said, we got to wrap up, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank my producer extraordinaire, Mr. Jordan Booth. Everybody who called in, John Mitchell, thanks for taking out time. Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next week on the Chris Murray Report on WURD. Hopefully, we may have somebody live from Tokyo talking about track and field. So we'll see you guys next week on the Chris Murray Report. Have a great weekend, people.